Hi there guys, and thanks for coming to watch another video. Today, very important day for us. Basically, I've finally got a working AutoTrader EA released to members of our website today. So all of you that are members and people in the free chat room on Telegram will know that we've been working on this for a number of months now. Found various EAs out there that promise the world. A lot of stuff that can be very profitable on back testers, showing massive results, changing your account from a £500 account to a £1 million account in less than a year. A lot of what these traders are using, or what these EAs are built for, they are built by scammers in the first place in order to take money from you for a system that physically does not work. Basically, what you can do if you have all of the past results is you can write indicators and EAs to trade forward based on the fact that they already have the tick results back in the system. So when you run it on a back test, it looks massively profitable. A lot of the indicators that you actually use on your MT4, what you'll see is that they do something called repaint, where basically in the background you will see that it gives one value at one point. After the event's moved on, it gives you a different value, and then it looks like the indicator is actually like showing you, yes, trade here, trade here, trade there. People offer these things on a free trial. Once you've done the free trial and you think, right, I can see this is why this would work, you pay the money, you get the system, and you start trying to use it on a live account, and you realise it really doesn't work like they said it did, and there's nothing you can do about it by that point, because you've trialled it, you've made the decision, and that's where you are. So what we've been doing is basically working with indicators and that we use already, Fibonacci scales, and a great tool that we've got here that's basically drawing Fibonacci scales dynamically in the background. You can still view all of your charts with these on. Works really well if you're manually trading as well, because you can manually trade the range that the AutoTrader isn't trading, and you can kind of work with that. So you can scalp it if you know what you're doing. You can use all sorts of different things with it. So basically what I'm going to show you, for the benefit of members who are actually having access to download this now, you should have followed the instructions in the download, and you should now be at this point where you can load the AutoTrader actually onto your chart. So it's going to ask you for a couple of things. At the top of your one, it will be asking you to put in the actual password, which is valid till the 23rd of December. So the sections under here are an irrelevance. These are for email sections, for it to send out emails of your notifications. You don't need to worry if you're opening and closing trades in your MT4 with your standard settings. It will either use the email that's within the system or the notifications to your mobile device all automatically, so you won't need to do anything. Now, what's really important with this system is the use of magic numbers. One of the biggest issues with EAs is that they can only make one trade. They often make multiple trades using the same magic number, which gives you issues in terms of trade exits, and kind of what you want to do with developing that system. Once you've built it to work for one magic number, if you want to do anything else with it, you're kind of stuck with it until you rewrite the whole system again. So what I've done with this is that this dynamically is generating magic numbers in the background, which means that if you start setting up a magic number, like let's just say we're going to set this one up here, we'll put magic number in as number 1. If you was then going to go set up your second chart, so rather than using magic number 1 or magic number 2, you could start them at 1,000. If you want to start them at 1,000, it makes no difference to us. But if you start on magic number 1, your second magic number on the chart that you answer can't be number 2. It must be at least number 10. And then likewise, if you've set a chart up now using magic number 10, your next chart you need to set up as number 20. The next one you need is 30. The next one you need is 40 and 50 and 60 and 70, etc. And the reason being is that 10 basically numbers are used for each trading chart. It doesn't actually use all 10 magic numbers at the moment, but it keeps it open in terms of further development with it. So every time you set up the BigBroking AutoTrader on a chart, you must remember to allow from before to after 10 magic numbers in order to use. So I'm going to put this one back to 1 and trade it this way. And remember, if you're trading through multiple terminals, so if you have this loaded on a terminal on one PC and you're trading on a VPS on another, anything you're using with the same magic number on the other server system, if you're using an arrays, will be affected by this. So we found in testing, we had a few things where we was running the AutoTrader on the VPS and then opened this on a test account. We was interfering with the demo test that we was running on the other server, so just so you know. Currently trailing stop is off in the trades because we've integrated a Fibonacci sort of locking stop loss system, so every time it will TP and stop loss at every individual level anyway, so you don't need to worry about trailing stops. Scalp at pips is not relevant now because we've put in multiple levels and adjustments in that. So again, this is kind of a working tool. Once we've got to the end of December and developed it, we should have some more bits. Bars back, leave this at the default at 80, but what that's doing, you can adjust this if you're finding more or less success. What I would say is, just looking in the background here, this is scanning back 80 bars to draw your Fibonacci scale. So depending what you're comfortable with, let's just say you like your own trading strategy better than ours as an example. You might want to trade on, let's just say you want to trade 15-minute time scales, and you want to trade it on the most recent 20 bars is how you would draw your Fibonacci scales. Or let's say there's a massive spike in the market, and at the moment your Fibonacci scale will be taking into account that massive spike that happened 30, 40, 50 bars ago. Unfortunately, I can't change that. I can't fix that in the market. But let's just say, like we've had on cable, we've had it on Euro USD, some huge dips, and a bit like with the JPY trades, we've had some massive spikes and drops in sort of in 5 minutes. We've seen 5, 6, 7, 800, 900 point movements in currency, and that will now throw your scale out if that's included in your number. All you need to do is then change your scale down to 20, 30, 40 bars, for instance, to not include that amount. Your Fibonacci scales will run back to normal. So it's not perfect. There's nothing you can do to avoid them things in the market. I've tried my best to maybe sort of change it around that, make it completely dynamic, but it's a difficult task. So note, this is all set up for a 5-digit broker. So one of the things you need to take into account is when you're talking about pips, a pip and profit, or a point in profit that we all know and love, what we live and die by. On a 5-digit broker in an EA, it's a 10. So 1 pip or 1 point equals 10 pips. So break even sell after 60 pips means when your sell goes into 6 points of profit, it will snap the SL back to break even, limiting your losses on any trades that you have going. So as soon as your trade is in 6 points of profit, it will snap in and it'll bring it to break even. BBMMA period, don't worry about that. It's relevant for the EMA line, the red EMA line that's running through the middle. Currently it's turned off, but it's to do with buy and sell strengths in terms of trying to not trade against the trend. If for argument's sake the general trend is a break downwards below the EMA and you're expecting a continued downward trend, you don't necessarily want to buy as high a lot size as you do if you're selling. You might want to be happier to sell off the top Fibonacci underneath the MMA line, but at the same time you might want to sell, or you might want to buy less hard and sell harder if you're on a negative trend. So it's up to you. You can kind of change what you want to do, but don't change the time scale of it. Leave it at 100 just because it works with the rest of the stuff that we're working on. Profit target maximum and max loss, you can amend these amounts if you want to, but effectively you will kill your AutoTrader from trading. Let's just say you want a profit maximum target, you want to make £500, and it will look back 360 minutes. So if you want to change this, if you want to set your maximum at £100 for instance, so if in one day, just work it out to as many minutes as it is, 360 minutes. If you add it up as you go along, you can get as many. So you got what's that, well, sorry, I mean mine's gone blank, 6 hours. If you want to move it on to 12 hours, 24 hours, etc., just change the minutes, and then you can change your profit target, maximum target loss, and profit. So, and they're independent. So you could put a loss of maximum loss of £100 and maximum profit of £500. When it hits 500, it will stop. When it hits 100 quid loss, it will stop trading as well. That's down to you. Right, now this is quite a little technical bit. You need to kind of know what it is you're planning to do with your lot sizes. So when you're putting in your lot size, we're just going to scroll right down here to the bottom. So we've got light buy lot size and light sell lot size, because currently we've disabled the hard buy and hard sell settings, because they're currently not working as well as I'd like right now. I want to make them a bit dynamic. So in here, for instance, we trade standard lot. The reason why we're trading standard lot, and we wouldn't normally trade standard lots, our intention is to not leave a standard lot trading for a very long time. We don't want to use, we're not using hundreds, thousands of pounds accounts. We're talking a couple of £1,000 accounts that we're using to trade with. And for instance, the whole scheme of this is that we then set a scalping method within this trader. So what we do is light buy, light sell lot size is 1. And what we've set up here, you see all of these settings for scalps at pips 1, scalp at pips 2, scalp at pips 3, 4 and 5. And what these are levels of profit in your trade. So let's just say with this, at 2 points, so when your trade hits 2 points of profit, it will partially close your outstanding order by the amount here. This is the amount in lot size. So if you're trading a standard lot, on 2 pips profit, it will close a 0.2 lot, leaving you with 0.8 lot outstanding in your trade. At 4 points, it will close 0.3 lots, leaving you less, and again 0.3, and again now 0.1 and 0.05, leaving you with a 0.05 ongoing trade. So the principle being that you could scalp probably 30-40 quid out of that. You can change these settings to whatever you like, so just make sure you're comfortable with how you want to do it. If you're not wanting to scalp at all, you can just go down the bottom and go scalp enable, turn it off, and then you can amend your lot size to something that you're happy with. But likewise, if you want to change this to, let's just say you want to trade a 0.1 and scalp it, then you can change all of your settings above and you can change them down, so you're leaving yourself with say a 0.01 left over. Or if you just want to trade a 0.01, change this to 0.01, change the scalp enable to false, and it will continue as normal, and it will just trade with no scalping, and you can trade at any lot size that you want. So no restrictions, nothing that you want to do, but for the purpose of this I'm going to show you how to trade it on a 1 lot, and then you literally just select OK. That will then load on your chart. That will then show up in here, and this will basically start trading. You see it's loaded the documents on the left hand side here. You can see now you've got your ticks, your magic number 1, your profit manager is open and viewing 1500 on 1500, and it's looking back 360 minutes. What will happen is that the AutoTrader, when it hits the bottom here, it will open up buy orders as it comes above it on 4 levels above. If the price continues to go down away from your buy order, it will modify your buy orders and bring them with it along the way. So you will see this move very, very differently. Now, if I change this to any time frame, it will continue to work. So in this instance, you can see that you would have had a high price back here in the bars that has gone down. In this instance, you would have had a further high up here on these bars here. Let me just show you with the cursor. You would have probably got a peak there, by the looks of it. Looks like the highest point. It would have moved on to the next bar, which should have still been above this level here. It would have then opened you on the level 5 fib, level 4, level 3 and level 2 fib for sells. And if you can see from this instance, it would have hit you straight to a TP, which is probably only about 10 points by the looks of it between these levels, ever so roughly. It might have closed out, but you would have had another sell stop waiting. You would have hit another sell stop TP, which is about another 60 points, 50-60 points, and another one's only another 50 or 60 points, and again you hit another 50 or 60 points. But to be fair, you might have got stopped out at some point here on one of those trades, but it looks like every time they break the line, it's continued down. This one's continued right down to TP, so you would have TP'd there anyway, and that would have been on your last trade, so it wouldn't have made any difference at that point. It will not enter another sell stop until it reaches a new high maximum, and likewise it won't enter a buy stop until it reaches a new maximum, and it only buys from this level up. So the first level on the way up, the 23 fib and the 76 fib, I think this is about 23-25% levels that they buy from, and it will continue trading like that in whatever scale you want. Remember though, anything you want to trade on, the issue with trading fib on small time scale, let's just face it, if you put it on a 1 minute as an example, and we just zoom in, realistically fib scale on 1 minute is completely irrelevant. If you look at this point here, from the lowest of the low, you wouldn't have got a buy until here. At that point the gap is only 2 points between fib level, and it doesn't really make any relevance to the real trend. We've designed this system to run on H4, which should give you plenty of scale. I'm just going to zoom it out from where you are. Realistically, this would have only made one trade in the last however long, in the last few days, 7 or 8 days, it would have made one sell, well, 4 sell trades off of one movement. It would have held them price, them orders throughout the time, and you would have maybe got stopped out on one trade realistically, but you may not have done that, may even been the buy at that point. So you would have maybe had one buy, that would have continued to go down. These would have modified your other buy stops until it gets right down here, and none of your other buys would have been triggered by this point, because this one here would have been triggered. You would have had it TP out at 1, you'd have lost nothing so far, it wouldn't have gone through, and until this has come down to a new low, and you're probably going to see this create a new low again today, and potentially open you 4 new stop orders above for the next week. So these can be used on any time frame. Again, you could trade it on a daily if you want to trade it on a daily, it's no problem. These are the spikes that we was talking about. You see this huge spike on the daily here. You wouldn't be able to use the same 80 bar look back, and if you look at the actual scales turned off here, it's trying to recalculate what it's doing, you wouldn't be able to use this as any relevance, because now you're not going to get an accurate fib scale from this. So different charts work differently. You need to set them up a little bit yourself in order to how you would normally trade your strategy. But once you've got that, this trader will literally work for you. It is possible to generate a lot of money from it. Alright.